The 11th annual Portland Queer Documentary Film Festival ran from last Thursday to Sunday. It's the only film festival in the country that features solely LGBTQ nonfiction. KBOO's Ricky King has this report.
This weekend, I went to the Hollywood Theater for Portland's Queer Documentary Film Festival, or QDoc, for the first time.
This was my first time attending it, and I was wondering how you would each describe the festival to someone who had never been.
In one word, I would say it's generous.
Films about gender, sexuality.
Important.
It's open-ended. It's a very interesting community engagement.
It's about what it means to be human.
The festival was started 10 years ago by Russ Gage and David Weissman. This year, Molly King and Deb Kemp, who were on KBOO earlier this month, took the reins. QDoc is the only LGBT-focused documentary film festival in the country and one of just 2 in the world. And, like many good things, the festival is run largely by volunteers.
My name's Trav.
Hi Trav, I'm Ricky.
Hi Ricky, nice to meet you.
My name is Larissa Zimmerman.
My name is Shannon.
Okay.
Tony.
And how did you get involved with QDoc?
I came as an attendee a few years ago and wanted to volunteer this year.
Russ worked with me at the Portland International Film Festival, and he was a good friend, so when he said he needed some help, I said sure.
I know David Weissman. He's one of the original creators of it, and just through him I've been able to connect with QDoc, and I feel it's important to be out here and help out and everything.
This is just like my favorite film festival in town. I work at the Northwest Film Center downtown at the Portland Art Museum the rest of the year, but QDoc is the one where I volunteer my time.
Yeah, I like it's open-ended. A lot of these movies, at the end of them, there's Q&As that follow them, so that's always nice. The other thing I really find significant about this festival is that a lot of times the directors and the actual subjects of the movies are here, and so there's a lot of continuation where you can ask questions and have like a dialogue continue after you've seen a documentary. I mean, other film festivals I've been to just haven't been like that.
For me, they're important stories to be told, especially now, because so much of what happened in the past was sort of pushed down and ignored, and now it's able to come out. And sometimes I think we need a reminder of the past so we don't make the same mistakes in the future. For now.
What makes it your favorite film festival then?
Well, honestly, I think it's the audience. The customers who attend this festival are just the nicest people in Portland, and they make me feel so happy to be in a customer service role that I'll do it for free.
I think the fact that youth are free up to the age of 23 and under, just making this like an inviting space for like young folks to really engage with their community is just so valuable.
And that it's not a superhero movie. It has nothing to do with CGI superheroes. And I think it's important because now it seems like that's what a lot of theaters want to keep showing. So it's important.
Blockbuster.
Yeah, and that this is just as important. This is real. It happens to real people.
I show up on Friday evening and the place is packed. Only a few empty seats.
My name's Andrea, and I've been coming to QDoc for several years. I don't know exactly how many. I am a historian, and I study the history of sexuality. I also teach queer studies classes at PCC, so it's always good for me to see documentaries as they come out. And I think it's my understanding that this is one of the only queer documentary film festivals in the country. So I'm pretty happy that we have that here in Portland.
Oh, yeah.
This is my partner, Namisha.
Hi, how are you?
We're being interviewed for KBOO Radio. She comes because I make her. Mostly. What else? Why else do you come?
I think I don't know, I think for someone like myself who is gay, it's important to learn. And I enjoy movies that are gay and queer oriented, but I think, at least for me, I don't have any. I came very late to being gay, so I didn't have a lot of learnings about it. I didn't do queer studies in college. I didn't learn a lot. So this is one way that I get to hear some of the history, but also people's truths about their experiences. Because I have my own personal experience, but I think it's also important to hear other perspectives. And that's what documentaries, I think, give. And a lot of it is self-funded and crowdsourced. So it is a labor of love, which is very different than your regular movies that you're watching. I don't know. I think it's important to to support arts and people who are passionate about making art.
The film screening is Jules Catch One, a look into the history of a Black-owned, queer-friendly disco in LA run by Jewel Thais Williams for over 40 years. Jewel supported her community throughout the AIDS crisis and even went to school to learn traditional medicine so she could make a greater difference for them. So by the end of the film, I'm in awe of this woman, how she was able to do so much in the face of racism and homophobia and misogyny, and then she walks up onto the stage. I was so surprised to see the same face I'd just seen up on the big screen right there in front of me. And then she began to speak.
I'm wondering, Jewel, if you could just tell us a little bit about what you're working on right now and what's next for you.
Sounds like Sharon Stone. Right now, I'm continuing on with the Village Health Foundation. My dream is to one day get an even larger space so that we can have more of a variety of different kinds of complementary medicine going on. There's an epidemic of people dying and getting sick with pharmaceuticals. That cycle needs to stop. What our system, what our healthcare, quote-unquote, system does not do very well is to get to the bottom of what it is that's causing these things. My goal place would be to have that combination of holistic Western principles combined with complementary medicine.
And she's going to have a blog, Ask Jewel, on her site, villagehealthfoundation.org.
We should remain gay and lesbian and lively and all of that forever. But, you know, times are changing, not only in the queer community, but the nightclubs for heteros are closing too all over. I don't know what the future will bring, but I hope that we will have at least places, spaces, and organizations where we can meet. We need more of a group presence. There's power, as you know, in numbers. And so it's important for us to find those places, spaces, people where we can stick together, come together, and support each other on every front. And we saw with Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, and those folks too. Peaceful resistance. And if we ever needed it, now is the hour.
After the Q&A, I got the chance to speak with Jewel.
I was wondering what it means to have a platform here in Portland, to have a queer film festival.
Yeah, well, I think events like this are necessary for us, and it brings us together. I try to do as many anonymous things as I can, where only me and the recipient of whatever kindness or gifts that I have can go to them. But just out of the goodness of one's heart, and we all have that. Just as we all have greatness in our pain with it, and it's just a matter of pulling it out and doing what I call the 2 Ps, and that's patience, having patience and perseverance, having a dream, and following it.
What do you think is next for the community, and like how to give, because it's changing, like the issues that we're facing are different, like going from the AIDS crisis to more of like a 21st century. What do you think is left to be done?
Oh, a lot. As far as our, first of all, uniting and becoming a bigger force by virtue of the numbers that we can present as a whole group of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of folks, you know, behind an issue can make a change. And it has to be done, I feel, from the grassroots level. This is how President Obama did it, you know, organize those folks that are not represented by that 1%, to have the masses all be able to be educated, be able to eat well, to be able to sleep in a warm place and be educated. That's not asking a lot of a civilized society, I don't think. And we're on Facebook, Jules Catch One documentary.
The stories told at QDoc range from the story of a safe haven nightclub in the 70s to the movement to end paragraph 175, which criminalized homosexuality in Germany. That last film is My Wonderful West Berlin, directed by Jochen Hick.
I think Berlin is very special because of its, it's uncomparable to any other big city, I think, in the West because of the history and the possibilities you had there. In the end, there's much less archival material always about gay stuff, as all of you know, than about other things. I was a little bit astonished that there was not that much. Anyone who does a gay film, for example, would have to spend between 7,500 and 8,000 euros. That's the list price for 1 minute of archival material. And the movement back then was really very, very, very different because, as I understand it, a lot of the lesbians came out of the women's movement and also went back into the women's movement and were also together with the women's movement. And then there was another big cut between lesbians or between women and gay men. There are a couple of things which made these developments parallel. Of course, we were also parallelly looking for footage about lesbian things, and there's even less. And I think I'm also not appropriate to make a film about the lesbian history and sexuality. Of course, the lesbians felt left out, but nowadays the trans and inter persons feel that they are left out and that everything is ruled by the gay white man and by the gay old white man who are sitting in these functions and have access to everything. Yeah, there's something going on. Thank you very much for coming. It's a great festival, and it's amazing that it's the only one in the world, which is really, really special. Okay.
The history of anti-gay legislation like paragraph 175 sometimes goes overlooked. Likewise, the so-called Lavender Scare was a period in the 50s in the United States when same-gender attracted people were considered a threat to national security. I spoke with Josh Howard, director of the documentary The Lavender Scare.
This is really kind of the place you want to be. It's the only festival in the country that is documentaries of all LGBT issues. It has a reputation for having a very loyal audience, and I'm very excited to be here.
For the audience, what is the Lavender Scare?
It refers to a period in the 1950s when it was believed that gay people were a threat to the security of the country. It's kind of a play on the Red Scare, the fear that communists were security risks. At some point, it was also thought that gay people who were, at the time, in the closet, very concerned about keeping their sexuality hidden, would also be security risks in that they might be subjected to blackmail. Homosexual sex was illegal in all 50 states, and so it was very much in the interest of gay men and lesbians to keep their sexuality secret. You could be fired from your federal job, or really any job, if it was discovered you were gay. So the federal government, President Eisenhower in 1953, ordered the firing of any gay man or lesbian who was discovered to be working for the U.S. government.
So that's like a really recent part of our history,
Well, it is, and it's something that I think a lot of people, don't know about. It's something I didn't know about. I thought I knew a bit about gay history, and having lived through 60-some-odd years of it myself. But this is something that was done, secretly in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. It wasn't talked about much, and it really wasn't until recently that some of this information started coming to light. So I thought it was an important film to make for that reason. I think gay history does tend to get marginalized, and it is not known certainly to the population in general, but also to gay people. And I think it's important to know what our history is. Progress on social issues is not necessarily a straight line. It's frequently two steps forward and one back. And in the political environment that we're in right now, I think we do have to be concerned about protecting the the progress that we've made.
Thank
I
you.
hope so. Check our website, thelavenderscare.com.
I left the Queer Documentary Film Festival knowing way more LGBTQ history than I went in knowing. I left with a lingering sense of sadness for the ways queer and trans people have been mistreated historically, but I left with a sense of hope too, because that narrative starts to change once these stories start being heard. This has been Ricky King with KBOO Community Radio.